It seems as though no matter where you look, Star Wars fans are always tearing each other apart, smearing Lucasfilm and Disney, and there's an emanating sense of negativity within the Star Wars fandom. Especially after the sequel trilogy and the firing of Gina Carano, it seems as though the franchise might be headed down a negative spiral, and that for every positive step Star Wars takes in the right direction, it always seems to take 2 steps back, and you can't really blame anyone if someone is feeling this way. But if you do feel this way, I'm here to convince you that you should be optimistic about where Star Wars is headed, and that the future is still bright for the galaxy far, far away.
You are a bold one.
But before this video gets started, please consider subscribing to the channel for all things Star Wars. I cover lore, speculation, analysis, and basically anything related to the Star Wars universe. So if that is indeed your sort of thing, consider joining the community by subscribing. So why should you be optimistic about Star Wars? Sure, Star Wars has hit numerous bumps in the road. We had a very divisive sequel trilogy and an equally divisive fandom that continues to bash on the High Republic. But despite all this, I'm going to convince you that Star Wars has never had a brighter future than before. And dare I say, I'm going to convince you that Star Wars, to some extent, has actually been revived. Now, I know what some of the more cynical fans out there are going to say. You're going to say I'm crazy, delusional, or just some Disney shill. Well, I'm not. You see, as the result of the acquisition of Star Wars by Disney, the horizons of Star Wars have been expanded further than before. Any number of projects are possible, and equally, any direction is possible. You see, when George Lucas held the sole rights of Star Wars, there was a lot of limitations. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not hating on George Lucas. All I'm saying is that there is only so much one person can do at a time. With George Lucas solely controlling everything, he was able to really focus on one project at a time, which is why the gap between each Star Wars project takes so long. Keep in mind that the sequel trilogy, for all its faults, basically revived mainstream interest in the franchise. Before this, sure, we had Star Wars: The Clone Wars, but that didn't really attract mainstream audiences all that much. And the last big Star Wars project that came out was Revenge of the Sith in 2005. So while the sequels made a lot of people unhappy, on the bright side, it renewed interest in the franchise, especially among younger fans. Younger fans who no doubt will become devoted Star Wars fans as you or I. The release of The Mandalorian, which was a smash hit, continues to fuel this mainstream interest. I don't think I need to get into too much detail as to why The Mandalorian was so popular, but I think we can all agree that The Mandalorian represents an expanded horizon for the Star Wars universe. Being streamed on Disney Plus means that Star Wars can continue to capture people's fascination away from the big screen and above the books and comics which often go unnoticed by mainstream audiences. Alongside the Disney acquisition came along an increase in resources for Star Wars to play around with. The technology used in The Mandalorian would either have taken longer to develop or could not have been done without the giant backing of the Disney Corporation. Now, with the availability of the technology, new Star Wars stories can be produced simultaneously instead of one by one and at a smaller cost. If that is not a good thing, then I don't know what is. The development of the Mandalorian verse, as some people have called it, with a Marvel-like crossover is fantastic. This will really expand and breathe new life into the Star Wars universe beyond the movies and continue to build on the legacy of Star Wars. Now let's talk about the High Republic. Probably the most divisive project recently, the fandom is slowly moving towards a direction of mutual enjoyment. There are still naysayers out there who claim that the High Republic is agenda pushing and SJW, which I have addressed these accusations in a different video, so be sure to check that out. But in summary, this simply isn't true, and I think fans are eventually coming around and realizing that what they have been paddled to by some Star Wars YouTubers is simply just regurgitated garbage used to get easy clicks and views. If you don't believe me, consider the numbers of the High Republic. Both The Light of the Jedi and Into the Dark hit #1 on New York's bestseller list for a few consecutive weeks, a very remarkable achievement. On top of that, the first issue of the High Republic comic series is receiving its 4th printing. Now, of course, there are those who say it's just a marketing ploy and that it doesn't reflect the real reality, which is that no one is buying these stories. I mean, sure, if the comics receive 2nd printing, it could simply be reflecting the demand of retailers who sell these comics and not necessarily the actual demand from fans. But a 4th printing? I don't think anything that is receiving a 4th printing after almost 1 month plus is complete garbage. And if you check these stories out yourself, you will realize that these are good stories and they really do a good job in setting up a foundation for Star Wars beyond what we have already seen on screen. The High Republic era is a time period that has something for everyone to enjoy, and haters should really pick up a story before they pass judgment. But most importantly, I think what is great about the direction in which Star Wars is headed is that it will bring new fans into the fold. Without anything new or expansive, it's very difficult to generate new fans, and while the hardcore fans do help in sustaining long-term interest, it can only go so far. Instead, now with a rapid expansion, things are looking up, and just think about it, that there will be a whole new generation of Star Wars fans who got to experience Star Wars as it happened during their childhood. And even if you may not have enjoyed everything that has come out from Star Wars, at the very least there is still something for you to enjoy, whether it is The Mandalorian or The High Republic. Most importantly, there is something for everyone to enjoy. Now, of course, I don't expect everything to be smooth sailing. I expect that there will be some bumps along the road, but I do think that we as Star Wars fans should be optimistic about which direction the universe is going. The Force is strong with the galaxy far, far away. That's all for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love to hear your thoughts, and I always do my best to respond to them. As always, be sure to subscribe and like the video for more. I am the Lost Acolyte,
and I have spoken.